towards these covers I was being paid to entertain. Tried, but within seconds my focus returned obsessively to the shifting 52 pasteboards in my hands and the further preoccupation they offered. Following the unstoppable spillage caused by the combination of pinching pressure and the merest accidental misalignment, the finger and thumb will instinctively continue their trajectory towards each other following the sudden disappearance of the remainder of the deck, and the top and bottom cards, in the case of a newly opened and unshuffled set of bikes, this will always be the Joker and an advertising card offering a discount of 50 cents against further purchases from the US Playing Card Company, will be brought together in an action not unlike that of a belly dancer's finger cymbals, while the balance of the cards lie scattered on the floor in a face-up, face-down slop. Here you are faced with two sources of annoyance, the greater being the anticipation of having to kneel down and begrudgingly assemble the cards into a disordered pile of single orientation, which involves not only upturning all the downturn cards, or vice versa, whichever set is smaller, but also the trickier task of neatly squaring up a near deck of chaotically strewn playing cards into a single, satisfying block. This is easier said than done, and is most easily achieved through a maneuver known to experienced card players and magicians, grabbing the entire set of misaligned cards into one cluster and holding them perpendicular to the floor, or table, then rolling the messy stack back and forth along its side until the corners have been brought into alliance. The secondary, lesser source of displeasure is the niggling sense that the deck has been soiled. It may never again be seen in manufacturer's order, and the patented air cushion finish has been most likely lost forever following the intrusion of hairs, skin flakes and other carpet debris into the spaces between the cards. The barman was now busy dealing uninterestedly with a fat man wearing a thin, loose tie who was peering at the whiskies over the counter. The bar was pushing into the man's stomach as he heaved himself high enough to read the labels on the Glenmoranges, Lafroigs and Macallans that authoritatively lined the raised shelf between the brandies and the cognacs. He was pushing himself up onto the balls of his feet and grasping with both hands a brass rail that ran along the front of the bar, perhaps a foot below its edge. I wondered what he was feeling at that moment, the tension in his hamstrings, the cool brass, the push of the counter into his middle section, the straining of his eyes, and jutting forward of his slack neck to recognize the labels on the bottles. I tried to recreate those sensations mentally and considered, as I tensed and shifted in microcosm, that was what he was feeling right now, that for him the experience of all life revolved in this instant around those sensations, and that I was, with my annoyance and self-hatred and reluctance to work, at most a blur in the corner of his vision. As he pointed to a bottle, and then, a beat later, happy that the barman knew which he required, hauled himself back to standing straight, I tried to lose myself in what I imagined his world to be. I tried to picture the bar and barman straight on, to hear the buzz of the restaurant behind me rather than to one side, to imagine the feel of his meal inside me, his weight on my bones, the faint sensation of comfort following the loosening of shoe leather from across the bridge of my toes as he lowered himself back to the floor. I wondered whether he had picked a whiskey he knew well. I imagined so, as the range was not especially adventurous, and he seemed to care about which one he was given, and whether in that case he was at that moment imagining the walloping peaty taste he knew he was soon to enjoy. There was something in the showy ease of the barman and the assured way in which he set the glass upon the counter that had about it a hint of performance, a suggestion of the flair that sometimes flamboyantly attends the preparation of cocktails. I presume that the man was noticing this affectation too, with mild irritation at its pointlessness, and making quiet judgments accordingly. I did the same, following my own references, a blurry memory of a poster for the film Cocktail, and a repeated film loop of a chess player planting a knight upon a square and firmly twisting it into place with that same defiance. A woman passed by, having emerged from the ladies' toilet behind me, and the game ended. The sound of the refilling cistern within was bright and loud and then abruptly muted as the door bumped closed. The fat man wobbled away from the bar and from me, a little inebriated, and my empathy with his thoughts and sensations was lost under the high ceilings of the wide, noisy lounge.